Hi, Mary. Hi, Judy.
Yep, I'm here too.
Good. All right, I think, barring anybody else, I think we don't need a quorum for this anyway, so, I think we'll just proceed with the,
Look forward to the only one missing is what.
yeah, but we don't, for the hearing,
Yeah.
we don't need a quorum, so, all right, I'll bring the tree removal hearing to order. And, it's in the matter of a town-owned, linden at 39 Hooper Farm Road. I don't know if you've received the letter, but we have Jim Weeman here, one of the co-owners of the property, speaking in favor of the removal. And why don't we let Jim have his say?
Okay, there are some pictures. Unfortunately, there are some duplicates in here, but it was just the way the printing worked out that, so there's a couple of duplicates, kind of a repeat of some of the pictures, but I think it serves to illustrate my position about this tree, and the first thing I would preface this whole meeting would be to say that, I'm not looking for a fight. I've lived here for 40 years and I've done so peaceably, really not making a lot of waves about anything, but unfortunately, I feel like we're kind of backed in a corner as far as this tree goes. I don't really feel like we have any options with it. And that would bring me to where I would start the discussion, and I would just say that, and you'll have to, nobody loves anybody who's long-winded, so I'm going to try and be as quick and as brief as I can, but there is some things that do need to be said. And that is, the first thing is that, we live in a very litigious society. Our culture is obsessed with liability and vulnerability. And that's just the way it is. It's like, it's not good or bad or anything, but we live in this world and it's up to us. I choose to live in this world and do business in it, but I have to do what I can, everything I can, to protect myself from these possibilities, because they're out there. That's just the way things are now. So and that I'm going to tell a very quick story, and I'll try and be brief again. Like I said, 4:30 in the morning, we had a big snowstorm Tuesday night. So Wednesday morning, I'm at work before 5 o'clock with a straight edge steel shovel and some ice melt, and I'm going to try to get the ice off all 4 sidewalks in front of our 4 businesses, because a lot of our business comes first thing in the morning. And if somebody slips and falls on that sidewalk in front of Stubby's, what are they going to do? They're going to come to me. They're going to come to us as business owners. So I'm going to do what I can to mitigate these possibilities. This is again, like the possibility of liability, so I'm going to do whatever I can. So I go down there and I clear the sidewalks, all 4 of them, right down to the bricks. We had the benefit of having a really wet snow, so it was like, it went pretty smoothly. It wasn't so bad. So that's great. And now I can go through my day feeling pretty good about what those sidewalks are like. And I know the DPW is going to get there and is going to get on top of them, but it's my responsibility. They're my businesses. So I'm down there before 5 o'clock getting those things cleared. End of the story is the sun comes out and everything starts melting and everything drips down onto the sidewalk. And I just happened to be near Stubby's at 4:30 that afternoon, and it's a sheet of sheer ice all the way down the sidewalk. An absolute worst case scenario for us, and a potential disaster. And, again, just went and did my best to clear the ice, and that was that. But my point is that this is what we're up against. And essentially, if you don't let me take this tree down at 39 Hooper Farm Road, it's like sending me downtown at 5 o'clock in the morning after a snowstorm without a shovel. That's really the liability and problems that this tree is causing on Hooper Farm Road. If I can't do something about it, I'm just a sitting duck. It's just a matter of time, that we're going to be, before I'm going to have, someone's going to trip and someone's going to fall and someone's going to sue us. It's like, so that's my that's what's guiding me through this, is that I'm worried. I'm always worried. But that's my choice. I choose to be in this position and I'll wear that suit. That's fine. But in the case of this tree, we've got to be able to take that tree down. It's a disaster. And I'll tell you what, basically the big problems that, well, first of all, before I get into what the problems are with the tree, we were never told that it was a town tree. Nobody ever came to tell us that it was a town tree. And that's, again, it's like, that's not really that big a deal because, when we find out it, but just hypothetically, if we had known it was a town tree and we weren't going to be able to take it down, maybe we wouldn't even have bought the property. It's like, given what this tree is causing us in both expense and liability, it's like, maybe it wouldn't even have been worth it to go into this property, and no one, there's no medallion on the tree. Nobody ever came to us after we bought the house and said, oh, by the way, that's a town tree. I found out about it months later, casually. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to blow this up because it's not that big a deal. It's not, when I found out about the tree is not that big a deal. It's the problems with the tree that's really a big deal. And that is, there's 3 really big problems with that tree. And maybe, in 40 years ago when it was planted, it wasn't a problem, or it didn't look like it was going to be a problem. But I refer to this tree, I say this tree, if this tree were a person and it was born innocent, it has grown into a full-fledged criminal. This is a law-breaking, this tree is doing everything it can to ruin the front end of that property. And it's not, it is what it is. That's just the way the tree grew. If you look at these pictures, you see the whole root system is out of the ground and it's sprawling. And it's just an accident waiting to happen. When we made plans to do this, let me finish the problems with this. The sewer line has been compromised repeatedly. We had the line cameraed, and they said de facto, without hesitation, they said it's the root system from this tree, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse, and it's going to happen more and more often. We've cleared it 5 times in the last 10 months. And you say, well, it's a town tree, so maybe the town should come and clear the line. When the sewer backs up in the middle of the night and there's toilet paper on the front lawn, I can't call the town and ask them to come and clear the line. As much as I know they'll come and do it, it's not realistic. It's like, and that's a big deal. That's like a really big deal. People live in this house. This is like, you try and live without a bathroom. It's like, it's just hard, and it's right around every corner with this tree. The tree slopes now against the property. Everything flows now under the house. We had to have the landing for the second entrance on the right-hand side of the original duplex. The original ranch house. We had to have that redone. And the guy who did it said, first thing he said to us is that those roots are coming all the way around the corner and they're going under the foundation, which is a crawl space. But it is what it is. This tree is going to compromise the foundation of this house. And it's like, not for nothing, but the house was there first. And again, people live in the house. It's important. It's like, when we made plans to do this thing, before we knew it was a town tree, we were going to put these duplexes, these other prefab houses along Fourth Way. And that's fine. We got all the necessary approvals. Everything was like, one of the things that came up was that, when it was originally there was a garage there, which we moved, but you would back in and out of Hooper Farm Road, right out onto Hooper Farm Road, and you can't do that anymore. And that's totally understood. Hooper Farm Road's a busy road. You can't be backing out onto Hooper Farm Road. So they insisted on a full turnaround, a 3-point turnaround, which again is fine. I'm like, that's fine, but we need to take that tree down to do that. And that's really important, and we need to know that, we need to know that right away. And as soon as we can't cut the tree down, we can't do that turnaround. So it's like, that's a big problem. So in addition to the sewer being compromised 5 times in 10 months, the walkway, if you look at these pictures, you can see that the concrete walkway that goes right to the front door is basically being undermined by the root system of the tree. I mean, they're literally going to come right out of the ground in the next year. So that's a huge problem. But the property grade, the walkway, and the sewer line are three huge problems with this tree. And I feel like it's kind of a cake and eat it too situation for the town. They want to say that you can't cut this tree down. It's a perfectly healthy tree. I understand that. I'm a big tree fan. I have 5 huge trees in my backyard, and they're all limbed and cabled to protect myself and my neighbors from these trees. I get it. I'm a huge fan of trees, but not when it's going to causing the kind of damage that this tree is. I mean, maybe it was a good idea. It was an okay idea to plant it where it is 40 years ago, but right now it's a disaster. And we have to take it down. It's going to cause nothing but more trouble, and the troubles that it's causing are going to be exacerbated. It's going to get worse and worse. They say, well, just move the sewer line. It's like, that's another $15,000. And it's like, it's not our tree. It's like the problems are that the tree are causing. It's not our tree. It's like, it's kind of a cake and eat it too situation for the town. They want to tell us we can't cut it down, but then they don't want to be responsible for any of the damage that the tree is doing. It's like, I really feel like it's just not fair. It's like, I just want someone to be accountable and just say, yeah, you know what, the tree is in a really lousy spot. And maybe that wasn't obvious 40 years ago, but it is now. And it's like, we want to regrade the property, put a new walkway in, and plant 2 new trees in the front yard of your choosing. It's like, Dave will probably plant them. It's like, we are going to make the property 100% better. And it's unfortunate that the tree has to go, but if you just look at that tree and look what it's doing if that tree is not even 15 feet from the front door, the root system is in a direct line to the front door. People who live there, and it's like, getting back to that liability thing, it's like, we're sitting ducks with this tree, especially if the town isn't going to assume responsibility for their tree. It's like, I'm sorry, I feel bad because, like I said, I love trees. I'm the biggest tree fan in the world, but this tree is nothing but trouble, and it's only going to get worse. And that's that's about the story. I'm sorry that if I'm kind of worked up about it, but it's like this has been a very frustrating thing for us.
Okay, all right, thanks, Ken. Thanks, Jim. Any other comments for? All right.
Dave, just a quick question. So we haven't been provided anything other than 3 sentences in an email that Charlie forwarded on. So Judy and I assume, Judy, that I can speak for you, haven't seen the pictures or any of the other materials that are present there. Can you just give a brief description of what you're seeing pictures of?
I wonder if we could at least maybe even hold these up so you can see them. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I was gonna
Why don't
say,
you try?
you can probably see them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty good, high resolution pictures.
So, can you guys? Can you
Not yet.
Bring the top of the screen there, bud.
see that?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can see the surface roots there.
Yes. I did look online because I wanted to see what it looked like, and there's some pictures online from, I guess, when it was on the market showing the house and the tree, but it's hard to see the scale, and it's a winter picture and there are no leaves on the tree. So it wasn't very helpful.
Well,
Can you see that?
these pictures were taken now, and this is a situation that is worsening. So if you look at pictures that are 2 years old, it's not going to show the detail that we're experiencing right now. So it would be great if you could see these pictures. I don't know how we can get them to you, or
That's okay.
But is there
That's
any
all I have.
documentation of the impacts to the foundation or the sewer? So surface roots are not by themselves an issue. So I'm just looking for, documentation of the whole thing. when it's, again, we can't see that by visiting either, what's going on with the foundation or the sewer.
all I have is like a record of it having to be cleared, 5 times. That's all I mean, I can't I don't have underground, I don't have the capacity to tell you what's underground other than what I'm told by the people who clear the line. And the fact that it's happened as consistently as it has for a very, for this 10-month period of time, and I just feel like it's not going to get better, as the tree grows and continues to grow. More and more of that root system is going to be exposed, and it just spreads further and further. I think it roots horizontally. I don't know. I'm biased, obviously, so but it just I'd love to save the tree, but I'm looking at it, and every day I look at it and I look at what's down the road for this tree. It's nothing but trouble for us, and it's not our tree.
Let me just give you a brief history about the tree. Our crew, when I worked for Sherburne Associates, planted the tree. It was from a free tree program that Walter Beinecke ran back in the 80s. And if the tree was in the public vista, you got a tree. And unfortunately, the tree at where the owner at the time, Elliot Norton, there was pine trees along the road, so this was a spot that he picked to have the tree planted. It's been there for about 45 years, and it was a good sized tree to begin with. So I'd say the tree's probably 55 years old. It's a healthy tree. There's really nothing wrong with it that would trigger, an outright removal by the town without number one, without a hearing. And I think that the tree to some extent, so let me back up a little bit. The list of all the trees that we planted were handed to Roger Geiger, who was the town arborist at the time that Dale has since succeeded. And the maintenance of those trees was taken over by the town. So based on our bylaw, the tree's been worked on over time and qualifies as a town tree. And that's how it became a town tree. So that's a history of it. Now, as far as present day, I'd like to hear some more input from other, like Dale. Dale, what's on your mind?
Well, unfortunately, I do see a severe girdling problem, so it's going to eventually get consumed to girdling. But then I don't want to take a tree down that is healthy that may live another 10 years. There is some serious girdling problems. Sorry. I've pruned it, I've maintained it. As far as something that's falling on the house tomorrow, no chance.
Yep.
So I mean, it is compromised. I mean, I do say that, but I mean, I'm not in favor of taking it down because there's a little bit of compromise.
Okay, so you would be a no.
I would be no to taking it down and
Okay.
to a little bit of compromise. If I saw a situation where I saw some severe that back this spring, then I have a little bit more concern.
Right.
Due to the severe girdling we stayed on this side.
Yep. But I mean, it to me, there's no indication that it's not a healthy tree at this point.
No, as of right now, I looked at the bush the other day and I was gonna get in and prune it up and clean it up a little bit.
Yep.
But me being a non-voting member, I'm just gonna have to go with what you guys decide what you wanna do.
Okay. Ben, you've got.
Yeah, just, Jim, we come across situations like this a lot. you know, where there's a tree that has
Sorry.
maybe outgrown its best spot or best intentions of, you know, living forever in a spot in proximity to a house that happens all over the place. And we are asked quite often to, you know, can we remove this? Can we replace it with another tree at a better spot? You know, more kind of looking forward in the future. If we did that every time, we'd have significantly fewer trees than we haven't. And I totally understand where you're coming from on this.
It's the damage it's doing to the house. And it's like, it's costing us a fortune.
I hear you. I mean,
And
I
it's like,
hear everything you're saying.
where is the town on this?
Yeah.
If you're saying I can't cut it down, so where is your responsibility to that tree as far as the damage it's causing?
I think this is sort of a situation where, you know, unfortunately, this tree, the existence of it being a town tree probably wasn't on the deed because it wasn't written in the deeds. But I've said over and over again to people like, listen, this is, if you're buying into a property, it's your due diligence to see what's on it, right? Like if you had I don't know, lead in your house or something, somebody, you know, I don't know, any amount of things that could be on your property. I think that going forward, the town definitely does need to do a better job. We're starting to work on more of a comprehensive inventory of town trees so that it's mapped with the town. Unfortunately, we're clawing it back. You know, we're trying to claw back a lot of these situations where people are saying, I can't believe I have this encumbrance on my property. We get it, 100%.
But like, regardless of my diligence, my due diligence, whether I look into, that's why I was kind of saying at the outset, it's like, it's not really that big a deal that we didn't know, because it's like, either way, the problem is not when we found out about it, it's what we do about it now.
Right.
And it's like, I just want some accountability. I want someone to take some responsibility. It's like, it's our property. It's
Yeah.
like, if it's threatening our house physically, like, why can't we take it down? It's like that, I can't get my head around that. It's like,
So sorry, just let me finish my thought. As the tree advisory board, we're not the house advisory board, the foundation advisory board, the sewer advisory committee, we're the tree advisory committee. We look out for the town trees. We say, is this tree healthy? Yes.
but what about, is the tree doing
It
damage?
doesn't, I mean, that is not really in our scope of what we're responsible for. We say, is this tree healthy? Is it presenting a danger to somebody? Is it a hazard? Is it gonna fall? Is it gonna fail? Is it gonna, you know?
It is though. It is a danger to somebody.
Not an imminent danger though. You know, it's not an imminent danger. It's not like it's.
If someone
has
trips over that coming home and falls and we get sued, who's picking up that? That's a town tree. It's not our tree.
Right. But that condition has always been there. I mean, since you've owned it, that stoop is the same stoop that's always been there, obviously. The walkway is the same as it's been. Those roots did not, I don't know how long you've owned the property, but those roots didn't just start.
I'm just saying, it's like, we're sitting ducks for a lawsuit with that tree sitting the way that it is, 10 feet from the front door.
I know, I think we can all agree, it's not an ideal spot in relation to the house.
So why can't we take it
So-
down and put 2 new trees in the front yard and grade the property?
So what I'm saying is, as this committee, Jim, we have to look at the tree. Is this an asset or a liability, right? And we have to say, this is an asset to the town, as the treescape of the town. This is an asset. That's what
But if we plant 2
we
new
look
ones,
at.
if we plant 2 new, I mean, it's a huge liability for us.
Think about somebody that has an enormous elm in front of their tree on Main Street that's heaving up the sidewalk. They can't get in their driveway. They can't back out. I mean, we would be setting precedent for sure. We'd be setting precedent with this. Then somebody else has sort of precedent law to go against, to say, well, you know, on Hooper Farm Road.
But the expense of this tree just keeps mounting and it's all on us. And it's not our tree.
So your next, we decide based on the tree. your journey doesn't stop here. You know, your journey continues on with the select board. They hear our opinion on the health of the tree, whether we deem it, you know, safe or unsafe as a tree. We don't take into consideration.
I was gonna say, you really, the only stance you're taking is saying it's a healthy tree. You're not,
And that
you're
is our
not.
stance.
Yeah.
That's our stance.
And I wouldn't argue that. I mean, I can see that it's zero. I mean, that tree is doing just
And
fine.
that's what we're interested in. The other things are ancillary. That, and I told you this from the get-go. I said, there's,
Right.
you know, we have
No,
a
that's
hearing
fine.
and it's the
That's-
first
yeah,
step.
That's fine. No, I mean, if
And
it's,
I'm hearing 2 no's so far. And we only need 1.
no, if the only question is whether the tree is healthy, if that's all we're deciding here, then yeah, of course, absolutely, the tree is healthy. It's a nightmare, but you know, it's a healthy nightmare, I guess.
Yeah.
Can I say something? So,
Yep.
you know, if the tree's roots are obstructing the sewer system, that's an issue that has to be brought to the sewer department. So, because I'm assuming that's a town sewer pipe. And so, you know, if you're having that expense, that's an issue with the sewer department. The solution to
No,
that is not
The
removing the
whole
tree.
reason for doing it the way that we've done it is because it happens in the middle of the night. And I
But
can't.
if it's been 10 months, 9 months ago, you should have told the sewer department.
No, but I mean, we're still gonna have the same problem. It's just gonna keep repeating
If the
itself.
sewer department fixes the pipe so that it's not cracked, then the tree won't be invading it. I mean, the tree is responding to the
Well,
effort of nutrients from the pipe.
To the sewer department and see, I was just thinking that in terms of getting the line cleared every time, that it's a lot to ask somebody to come in the middle of the night and clear that line.
No, the line shouldn't need to be clear. The line should be clear because it's properly maintained as a non-leaking sewer pipe. So that the pipe needs to be fixed so that this doesn't reoccur. The
Okay,
solution is not to remove the tree.
We'll contact the sewer department and ask them to replace the pipe or fix it or whatever else.
Or, yeah, they'll determine how to fix it. I wouldn't presume.
But again, it's the tree, the maturity of the tree and the situation just gonna continue to escalate. That's our, you know, that's more than the sewer line. It's the presence of the tree 10 feet from the house. That's really the real, that's why we want to take it down. I mean, yeah, you're right. We can fix this. The sewer line it could be moved or, you know, I mean, there are a number of solutions to the sewer line, but the actual tree itself, I don't think there are any answers to that. I can't, the walkway and the property, the way I mean, it literally looks like a volcano coming out of the ground. You know, it's like, it's just out to get us. It feels like. And again, I have no choice but to be constantly on guard for litigation because that's just the business we're in. You know, I'm in a situation where we have to constantly be vigilant for the possibilities of somebody bringing a lawsuit against us. And if that's a staff house. So if someone who's living in that house trips over that root and falls, they're coming after us.
Well, and again, briefly, I'm not trying to be combative, but there are other solutions that do not involve removing the tree. You could put a blanket of mulch around the roots, for instance. You know, there are many other options than just pulling a tree out. And our job is to ensure that the public benefit of that tree is maintained as long as it's not a public risk. If you're having a problem on your private property with your private use, that's not really something that we can adjudicate.
Right. No, I think if you look at the pictures, you'll see that the entire area is heaving. It's like it's not good. It's right in front of the front door, and I don't think mulch is gonna, you know, mulch isn't going to prevent a bad accident from happening with the roots to that tree. It's just too much. It's too much.
Okay, Judy, do you have any comments? Any other comments?
I don't really think so. I mean, it sounds like based on the health of the tree, which is our concern, that we wouldn't support removing the tree. I did have one thought, and for me, one factor is that this is not an elm or a particularly, I don't want to, all trees are valuable, but not, it's a replaceable tree, which is something that I would at least consider a little bit. You know, it's not something it's a linden, not an elm, by what you said.
Okay, well.
Mr. Chairman,
yeah,
my last
yeah,
question to the
yeah,
chair.
Sure.
Two things. One addresses something Ben said.
Uh,
Richard Arnold, 12 Wynn Street. I'm a tree hugger. I've planted lots of trees and I've moved scores of trees. I'd just like to know why this tree apparently doesn't have a tree town tag on it. So that previous to buying the property, the new owners would have known this was a town tree.
But I think,
Number one, and number two, how far in from Hooper Farm Road, the property line, the road and property line is this tree?
That's what I never looked at, because I think of a town tree, I think of something that's out by the road.
I
something
can, well,
that's,
let me
you know.
set you off right there. I can take you around 1,000 properties right now and show you town trees within the same percentage of your trees in. So it's not like you own a person on Nantucket have a tree that far in from the road. And this is how Nantucket created green space.
I don't doubt you. That's not, I just feel like if that, knowing that the tree was gonna grow the way that it has, in my mind, it just shouldn't have been planted there. It's like,
Well, we didn't go plant it there without the previous owner's permission. So we didn't just walk in this property, dig a hole and plant a tree.
but just
So
from your
what-
professional.
Where a tree is planted, we have to plant it where the homeowner asks us to. So if he asked us to plant it a little bit farther out, it would have been planted a little bit farther. So he was okay where the tree was planted.
Okay. Yeah, he was.
So, I mean, it's not like we just said, nope, you want to get a tree, this is where we put it. It doesn't work that way.
No, I was just kind of
We
thinking,
work with the homeowner as far as where would they like their tree planted.
I would have thought that someone would have said to the homeowner that that's maybe not such a great idea to plant that tree there.
Well, even though sometimes when somebody got something in
But
mind,
it's all
when they
water.
got in their mind where they want something, that's what he wanted it. So, I mean, I'm assuming that's how it went down, right? He wanted it there in that space.
Well, like I said, there was pines, there was pitch pine growing near the road.
Yeah.
And there was an open spot in front of the house where it ended up getting planted. We advertised all this in the paper, people responded to it, and Dick, you might have.
Yeah, I remember staff unloading that tree.
Yeah, right. There you go. You had a hand in that.
I had a hand in that tree.
Yep. So,
So anyway,
So-
will it have a town medallion on it?
Well, you know how many trees we have that have a town medallion that have fallen off? So, I
Has
mean,
this tree ever had a,
I'm not
town
sure,
medallion on
I'm
it?
not sure if it did.
well,
I think it probably had an NHT tag. on it
NHT
at one
tag.
point.
and then how far off the property line would you estimate it is? I haven't driven by, so I don't know.
Probably about 15 to 20 feet, my guess,
From the road.
from the property line.
From the-
Edge of the road, I think it's about.
So that's
30
why
feet.
it's so close to
No
the front
problem.
house.
It's about 30 feet from the edge of the
Okay,
asphalt.
something about it.
And I don't want to ever get in the situation of comparing a street tree that is right in the sidewalk to one like what Jim tree is.
Yeah.
That's opening up too much of a can.
Yeah,
So-
right, but it's just the precedent. that-
Yeah, I
it's
get
just
what
the
you're
top-
saying.
You get.
I don't want to get into
Yeah,
comparing
I
the
know, I know.
two spots.
I-
You know what I mean?
I just feel like we're like, again, like the guy who goes down to shovel Broad Street without a shovel, it's like, I feel like we're sitting in a position where we're helpless to whatever this tree wants to do to our building. It's like, I feel like there's nothing we can do to mitigate it. It's like, we're just victims of.
But Jim, the only thing I can say, if you can work with the sewer crew to deal with underground, and I would deal with what's up top and try to make it a little bit better. As far as falling on your building, I can't do nothing about the root system, but as far as falling on your building, and I'm not worried about that happening.
But it is the root system
Yeah,
that,
I'm sure.
look at the mound that it's sitting on. It's significant, that's an accident waiting to happen.
That's a very gnarly looking linden. If you could see the pictures or visit it in person, it is one ugly installation at this point. 35 years ago, it was great. Right now, it's doesn't belong there.
No, that was, and I'm not gonna go on
I'm
forever.
sorry, can we clarify who was making the comments previously?
Richard Arnold, 12 Wynn Street.
Thank you.
Like I'm offering to grade the property, plant 2 new trees, put a new walkway in. I mean, I'm offering to greatly enhance the property. And I realize that it comes at the cost of this tree, but like Dick said, that's not a nice tree. I mean, there's nothing nice about that tree. In the way that it's coming out of the ground, and it's not a prized tree to begin with. It's not like a beautiful tree. And I'm not, like I said, I didn't come here for a fight. And if my best case is to move on to the selectmen and plead my case there, then that's what I have to do. But it's like, this tree is nothing but trouble for us. And it's not our tree. So
Okay.
I mean, that's.
All right, so this is, I'm gonna say that this, we'll move this to the selectmen. Charlie, you've been taking notes.
I'll have all the notes.
You'll have all
In
the.
the next set of minutes.
Good. So
Joe, can you email me the photos?
Oh,
we'll forward all of this to the Board of Selectmen, and it's their it's their move.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't know that was the way it played out. I didn't realize that this was not your decision. I mean, I thought you were the arbiters all the way around.
If we were, it could be if we thought otherwise. If we were thinking in a yes to remove it, then we could probably make a decision here today.
But it would have to be presenting a public safety, it would really be a public safety issue and the health of the trees in imminent danger.
It's not a public safety, but it's a.
Well, no, I mean,
Well,
just
okay,
what I'm saying.
I think I want to close the hearing. I think, it's going to the selectmen and, this function.
I would like to have. Jim.
All right. All right, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, man. Thanks. It's at least nice to do things cordially to some degree.
Yeah. Okay,
We're all neighbors.
yep, we are.
Hey, guys, thanks for all your help when it comes to.
Okay. I think it,
So do we have a quorum, Dave?
we do, we do.
Yeah,
We have 4 people. Ben, well, let's call the meeting to order before we decide that.
Give it enough time, it's always getting that. Then it's the thing, it's already done. What's the right? Just trying to put these 2 years.
See you, Jim.
All right. Yeah, later.
Thank you.
Okay, now we can call the regularly scheduled tree meeting to order. Charlie, do we have a quorum?
I believe so.
Okay, you've got, all right, acceptance of the agenda. Has everybody had a look at the agenda?
I couldn't find the agenda.
Yes, Dave, under old business, do we have any update from the DPW on the Atlantic Avenue sidewalk? And if
I have not heard anything. There's still, not that
so,
I know, haven't heard a thing.
so that's not on the agenda. Got it.
I think they put something about it on the agenda, but I think that was sidewalk upgrades. I don't know if that got put on the agenda or not. Should be. Anyway, I'd have to look at, see what the final result was on that.
Hey, Bob, what's going on?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right, do we have a motion on acceptance of the agenda?
Yep, so moved.
Second,
I move.
Favor, aye.
aye.
Has everybody had a chance to look over Charlie's minutes from the last meeting?
Yep. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion on that?
I'll move.
All
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Have no announcements, public comment, anybody that's on today wishes to make any comments? Departmental request? Seeing none, all right. Old business, has everybody reviewed, Charlie's, draft recommendations on fines and mitigation?
yes.
Yeah, first of all, Charlie, thank you for writing this up. I had a couple questions about definitions of some of the phrases.
Sure.
So it starts, there are approximately 2,000 publicly owned trees. And I wasn't sure if owned is the correct word. What exactly is the relationship of the town for a town tree, particularly in the case of where it's planted on private property with the owner at the time's permission? Is the town have legal like fee ownership in the tree, or is there a better word to describe that relationship? And I'm just asking out of ignorance. I don't know the answer.
It is maintained by town property, by town equipment and my staff.
Right, but I'm asking about legal, physical ownership. Is owned the right word, or is it simply, should we just say town trees? And refer to a definition of what a town tree is, rather than, yeah, I'm just worried we're opening a can of worms if we start saying we own the trees, if we don't actually own them in a legal sense. But we have rights to the trees for sure.
But if we don't own it, we can't take care of it.
That could be something, I'll make notes of all this, Mary, so. Of any of the questions we have, like that might be a good one to ask when we bring this to legal.
Mhm.
As to
Or
what,
or we have a
they're-
definition of a town tree that already addresses that. I didn't look that up, and I'm not sure I'd know
Okay.
where to find it right away, but that was a question I had on the terminology.
I want to say, Mary, I think that's a good point. I sort of skipped over that particular phrase, but I'm wondering if it would be better to have some consistency in language so that we don't have publicly owned trees versus town trees. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
it's all the same lingo. It just makes it a little easier for people. So I think that's a good point, which I hadn't thought about.
it's an easy change. That's
Yeah.
also, as I was working off of the template from Somerville, that management language that I just left in there, it seemed fitting. So that's easily changed to town-owned trees.
Yeah, because we have public trees, public shade trees, so I think it'd be good to use the same label if that.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah, public shade trees, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, that seems to be, that seems to be the right wording.
And then if we're going to try and incorporate the language from Somerville, we'd also have to make sure that their definitions for any of these words are either already reflected in our rules and regs, or if we need to add any or modify any to match up.
Okay.
Yeah, just compare that to the town bylaw about
Yeah, but we already have.
already have on the books, so.
Yeah, and then, for instance, defining, what is a hazardous tree? It's easy to say, from it, somebody like Dale can say, point at one, say that one's hazardous, and point at another one, say that one's not. But how do you distill that knowledge into something that a lawyer can, defend in court or to the select board to say, this is or isn't a hazardous tree, so that it's not a matter of opinion.
I'm not so sure that can be, I think it would necessarily involve an arborist or a.
Okay.
Opinion.
But it does say, any tree that is determined to be a hazard because it is a danger to public health or safety, a threat to life or property, or any tree that's, it does go on to that. So I guess what I'm asking, are we comfortable with that language? If we want to use Somerville's, do we need to add anything about specific about elms, or specific about, whether it's a tree on public property or tree on private property. You know, it's a.
I'd rather not box ourselves in if we don't have to, you know? But I understand about being specific, but sometimes too much specificity?
Specificity.
Specificity.
Yeah.
Say it right?
Specificity
Yeah, something.
can get you.
Well, it works in reverse too. If you're not specific enough, then people can wiggle out saying, yeah, this doesn't apply to us.
Would it be good? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not sure. I'm just saying, I'm not sure.
Would it be good to say any tree that is determined to be a hazard and add the phrase by an arborist?
Or by the town's arborist.
By the town arborist? I mean, in other words, so that I could come and say,
Yeah.
that's a you know, they were saying right before the tree was a hazard before, but that wasn't the arborist's opinion.
I think
So you
that's a
don't want
good point.
anybody to declare it. You just don't want any, like me to show up and say, oh yeah, that's good, yeah.
I would leave that in the hands of the town arborist.
I'm not sure you're right guy.
Anyway, okay, now how about the fines? What you, everybody's opinion on what's been drafted?
So we have $500 to start with.
That's the fine.
Plus the mitigation payment, which is one rate for non-elms and one rate for elms. And are we comfortable specifying American elms? You know, don't we have, I don't know, Chinese elms or Siberian elms, or other kinds of elms? And are they-
The town don't own many Siberian elms. We own mainly European and American.
okay,
don't have many.
is American what we specifically want there?
That's,
Yes, but the biggest question is how do we deal with the hybrids?
Mhm.
so in the last
We're
meeting,
gonna buy them, you know
we
what I mean?
talked about the American elms specifically, because you can replace a hybrid with another hybrid.
Yes,
But the true American elms, the non-hybrids, are irreplaceable,
irreplaceable.
which is why they're
Exactly.
separated out. And that's why the language is non-American elms versus American elms specifically.
Okay.
So we had talked about time that if it was Valley Forge, that is it's a great tree, but ultimately it is a hybrid and it is replaceable with another hybrid. Whereas the true Americans stand alone in a very unique position, which is why we ended up.
We're looking at the unique, genetic fingerprint of the tree. We're not looking at the size or the, canopy shape or, other characteristics, but we're looking specifically at the irreplaceable genetic signature is, I guess, what you're saying here.
Right.
Okay, that's helpful to understand.
So opinions on the formula.
I have no problem with the amounts. I stumbled several times trying to read this because it's number 2 starts off a mitigation payment valued at 3 times the cost to replace blah 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 trees that were lost, blah blah blah. I think it would help, and then we jump down to the elms. I think right up front, 3 times of non-elms, because for elms it's much more, so that you write in the initial sentence, you sort out elms from non-elms. Maybe you guys didn't feel it was necessary, but I couldn't understand how you got from 3 times the caliber inch to $25,000 per caliber inch. For some reason, my brain didn't deal well with that. But if it's clear to everybody but me, it's not an issue.
All right, maybe I can explain it better. And so basically,
I mean, I know what you mean, but I'm just, if we could, maybe make it clearer in the document. Go
because
ahead.
it kind of just to keep the math simple a little bit. If we were running 3 times the cost at 25,000 per inch on an elm, gets really exorbitant. So we already have that such a big number, whereas if somebody takes down, say a 10 inch pine tree that's ours, and we value, so now they're paying for 30 inches of replacement at $1,800.
Right.
It's still less than, say, if they took down a 30-inch elm, they're at $25,000 per each of the 30 inches, or whatever that is.
It's like, it's not $750,000.
Right.
No, I understand what you mean. I stumbled reading it. Maybe, maybe others, it was more, not concept was fine. I had a little trouble with the language, but if I'm the only one, then don't worry about it.
Another part of the draft was getting into private trees, which I don't know if we wanna get into that at this.
Yeah,
point.
I just included that. That was as I was working off of what Somerville does. They have that in their provision, so it's simply just included. It could be something that can be worked on completely separately later.
Yeah.
This has different language, that it may be worth looking at to beef up our own standings, clarify, because I'd like to see our webpage for the tree advisory committee or just town trees be drastically increased.
Yeah.
To have a lot more of this language, especially about, trees where that maybe in question like this, where someone's coming to us thinking it may be a private tree, but just as much language as we can get on here. And so this kind of just addresses, even if we just took some of the language about like when you're coming to ask us to remove a town tree, these are what we're considering. And we could then go into, is it dying? Is it hazardous? And maybe explain the things that we look for. So, as somebody comes in front of us, they're a little bit more prepared for what they're expected to see, here. That's like, well, yes, you have some root problems, but this is a very healthy tree. The tree warden and the town arborist both agreed that it's not an imminent hazard. So we're most likely not going to be inclined
To remove it.
to remove it.
Yeah.
Just so there's more language available to people, so they know what they're getting themselves into.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
All right, well, let's,
I had some other thoughts on the Somerville language. Definition of invasive species. I think that's something we'd have to be very specific about. I don't know for sure that.
Is that in that lower part there, Mary?
Yeah, at the very end, tree removal.
Yes, that's all.
Yes.
Anything below where it says here's a possible bylaw is kind of the optional stuff.
No, that's what I'm saying is if we're considering this, there are definitely changes that I would want to see, like any tree less than 8 inches diameter is exempt. I'm no way on that. That because we're planting trees that are less than 8 inches in diameter. So we could get permission, plant a tree on somebody's property. It's a town tree. They sell the property. Next year, somebody else comes along and it's, under 8 inches and they can just take it out without a permit. No.
I think a lot of that has to do because they are the city of Somerville and all this stuff it's a very different situation than what we have here. I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So we'd have to modify a lot of the language or eliminate it if we're going to.
This tree is actually a link that then takes you to trees that they have identified as invasive.
Invasive. It's mainly maple.
And Norway's and
Yeah,
whatever else.
Norway,
They
yes.
don't want you planting.
Norway's and sycamore maples.
Sycamore, yeah. I mean,
So we could through our webpage, if we agree, so we could say, things not to plant on Nantucket.
I want them to see cherry trees on there too. So cherry. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point I was making is that Nantucket would probably have a specific list of trees that we considered invasive, and it might include some that aren't on Somerville's list. And there might be some on Somerville's list that, because of our different environment here, we do want to plant because we're not worried about them being invasive.
I've always said though, a tree is a tree on Nantucket, no matter what.
Yeah.
If it lives here, that's a first case for it.
First,
So. Anyway,
And
within,
then I didn't understand the owner occupied 1, 2, and 3 family properties. I didn't think that was something that we would want to incorporate here.
bypass that, sure.
Yeah, it's talking about property owners with financial hardship. I'm like, no, because they'll all complain if they have financial hardship. Yeah, so there's a lot that I would not incorporate from the Somerville language.
I sort of agree with that.
Yeah,
I think it's open
keep
up
it
worms.
possible,
Yeah.
without too much much wording, something that comes right to the point.
Yeah, like I said, that was just separate stuff that they have.
Yeah,
That would be separate from the fines
Yeah, it
and
was-
that sort of thing. It's just,
yeah.
it's for more to build information.
all that just invites, you know.
Could we simply, I mean, if you wanted to mention non-town trees, maybe this is that you should apply for a permit or see if a permit is necessary, and then refer them to a web page or to us or to somebody, rather than going into all this stuff about 8 diameters and all that kind of stuff. I mean, sort of get rid of all that stuff.
I think there should be a big orange warning. You might have a.
Yeah.
Go visit the town to find out. You know, I mean, that's kind of where we
Yeah.
are. You know, and once you visit that page.
Well, I mean, what we need to do is create that resource that people can
That's-
self-serve
yes.
the answer. We can't have 10,000 people call Dale and say, do I have a
No,
Right.
I didn't mean to imply that. I just mean,
The
if-
resources-
I agree with Mary about if I have a small tree and I don't like it, even if it was, I'll take it out and it says I can do it. You know, I just feel like people need to get some kind of, not approval or some process before they can start yanking trees out. Privately, we're not talking about town trees.
All right, so why don't we get that reworded, Charlie, and see, and let's go from there.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think everybody's happy with the fines and mitigation. Keep the wording, you know, we can strike out a lot of the things that are, you know. those
Yeah, I'll clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, and,
Let me ask one more fines question. So looking at number 3, we're saying the mitigation payment for an American elm is 3 times 25,000 per inch. So 75,000 per inch. Is that what we were going for? Or is it just 25,000, not times 3?
well, I think you're in, for a willful removal, I think, isn't there treble damages in the Mass General laws as far as,
So the Mass General Law, and I can circulate this so everyone can look at it, and maybe we need some another pass at it next time. It allows for up to 3 times the cost. So so we can choose, so we got to choose a language in there where we're saying, you know, it's either we take the 3 times out, we just set the flat rate.
Per caliber inch.
Yeah, which I think is what we were going towards last time, where
I think
it
per
was
caliber inch.
25 per caliper.
Per caliber
inch,
inch.
100
Yeah,
for nothing.
I didn't think it was times 3 because as Charlie's
I'll
example,
strike the 3 times.
yeah, a 10-inch tree would be a $750,000 fine, and that seems even, you know, a little bit much.
Yeah, because I know we wanted it to be large for the elms to be a true.
Mhm.
All right, so I'll strike the 3 times.
To be a true crime.
Yeah, I'll strike the 3 times language from both mitigation points 2 and 3.
yeah, I think we're covered enough.
Yes,
It'll be, the town requires mitigation payment of $1,800 per caliper inch for non-American elms and 25,000 per caliper
Yeah.
inch.
Yes, I think.
And I'll probably add in DBH as
Damn,
well,
yes.
just for
Yeah,
clarification.
diameter, yeah.
Okay,
Sure, all right.
I'll make those changes and we'll circulate those for
Thanks, Charlie.
next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
thank you.
Old business, Dale, thank you, Charlie, that's great. Sewer work damage.
Very little. I had to do some pruning, and I told them I'd rather prune it than them break it. So they've been pretty good about calling me,
Okay.
on everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's been easier to deal with the guys than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Because construction guys don't like trees. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But these guys have been willing to work with me.
Yeah, well, I think from the
And,
get-go.
and they see that I'm serious about the problem.
Sure.
So look, don't mess around. And I'm gonna take a ride Tuesday. And because by April 1st, any elms need to be cut. Let's get it cut now. That way you don't call me about an elm tree. And if you don't know what an elm tree look like, you better learn.
Yeah.
Because I don't want no broken branches, so if we take this ride, let's get it cut now, and that way we can get through it.
Yeah.
So I'm riding with these guys, both guys, the one's on Gardner now, and the one's on Pleasant Street. So we're taking a ride Tuesday.
Good,
So.
good.
So everything they need to be done, if it's a maple, we can wait till they get there and I get it done for them.
Mhm.
But if it's an elm, there's no question, let's get it done now.
Now, on this, on where they're working now on Atlantic Avenue. Right, that's Atlantic Avenue.
No, they on Pleasant Street now.
They're down through 5 corners.
Okay, but that went curb to curb.
No, it just, they, as they came down, they veered out away from the trees.
Okay, they did.
So that was very, very limited root damage.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, I was there.
Yeah.
Very
But
limited.
it does look like the pavement's been taken up curb to curb.
The
So then-
pavement has
Like
been,
below that, but
but they didn't go curb to curb.
Thanks, Judge.
I believe the pavement was taken up because they're gonna be doing a full overlay. A full width pave, instead of having a patch, they're gonna be doing a full repaving, I believe.
Now, any word, Mary asked about the sidewalk, and I haven't heard anything.
There's a liquor store around there, but
I haven't.
Yeah, we got, asked. Drew's still here? Drew,
yeah, he's here, but he's probably in a meeting.
all right, but we gotta find out, I would like to find out about if there's any movement on the side, on getting sidewalks straightened out on that.
Yeah, that's all part of the contract. That's all
Okay.
gonna be done.
No,
It's all gonna be.
well, no, Dale, we're talking about
8 and 12.
moving the sidewalks to the places that have been worn because the tree blocks the path of the sidewalk. So literally not straightening the sidewalk, but detouring it so that there's an official town maintained sidewalk
Yes.
on what is currently private property, which is what the public is actually using to get down the street.
Yeah.
Okay,
I-
so
I-
it's not part of the sewer project.
I can have a meeting with David Gray tomorrow. And see how that's. gonna
find
be.
out, who's doing the re-bricking, is Victor
It's
doing?
all gonna be all part of the sewer project.
It's also part of the.
Is he doing the
They
work?
probably gonna
Yeah,
have.
it'd probably be Victor. for
Probably
David.
be Victor.
Right, but those sidewalks aren't brick right now, they're asphalt and they're not disturbed by the project, so I wasn't expecting there to be any work on that sidewalk in that location unless somebody asked for it. I could be wrong, I haven't asked David Gray myself if what he's planning to do there, but it would be great to talk to him, Dale, and find out if there is anything planned.
Okay.
The next meeting, I have the information for you guys about the sidewalks.
Okay, winter pruning,
Going good, going well,
yep,
going well.
storm damage, other
Nothing.
than that elm that came
Other
down.
than that, they came
Yep.
down in the last storm, and
Okay,
they're gonna pull the stump on that, and I'm gonna put 2 trees back.
Good.
On that corner.
what are you planning on?
Elms.
Elms.
You know, I like to know how many elms.
Yep.
I can get while they're young, you can take that center crotch out, just leave one stem and let it.
Sure.
Fill into itself, you know what I mean? Cause I don't think you're gonna find an elm that is not V-crotch at some point, so they're young enough, you can take one side out.
Mhm.
It'll look a little bit weird if you know what you're looking at, then it'll eventually fill itself in and be a nice tree.
Yep.
So, and they grow slow enough so they can hold their own weight, unlike the Valley Forge you mentioned. You can't even find them things anymore. So,
Don't want
no,
them, no,
everyone ever planted just is gone.
they'll have scars.
Yes.
Has anybody, and this is kind of off the point, has anybody read North Woods yet? It's a great book. But in the book, it describes chestnuts and elms. And you gotta read the book.
The 2 American great trees.
Yep, you gotta read the book. It's just, that part about elm bark, the part about elm bark beetles and how they transfer the disease is, I've never read such an interesting way to put it.
Really.
All
So, guys, I gotta run.
right, Well, I think we're all set.
I'm sorry.
I think that was a good tree hearing and good meeting. And onward.
Yep.
Anything else? Anything else for anybody?
I have run into just a brick wall with these tree tags with this one place that said they could do them. I think we just need to find a supplier
We'll work
somewhere,
on a different source then.
just a source that maybe they're not the same, but at least they'll be.
As long as we can get them
They can be
tagged, as long as we can
tagged, yeah.
get, you know, get the HTC put back on. So,
Okay, motion to adjourn,
Yep, so moved.
second,
second.
all in favor?
And back to the front.
See you next time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks, Charlie.